Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis up to date of commodities. We're going to work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities and ETFs that I follow. I'm going to give you my financial opinions as we go through this. And if you need any help with anything, check out finding-value.com. We still have that September coupon code going on with the 50% discount for the first month on the Platinum monthly membership. September is the coupon code. All right, so let's dive in here and see what's going on. Earlier throughout the day, we saw weakness in the dollar when there was weakness in yields. So we were seeing that kind of droop down this morning. You could see it right there. And if I were to put it on here, you could see that big move lower here. It broke to the downside. It came up to do a retest. It broke back down. And then I'm willing to guess Powell came out and said, yep, we're going to raise rates. I didn't even look to see what he did with them, but this came raging back to the upside for rates. So that's your short-term market movement there, guys. And that's what that decision has done is it put it basically back into an upward movement, signaling that the strength of yields does impact the strength of the DXY. We're back within this upward pattern. The 2-year yield was drooping below the resistance support line and then just ripped it after Powell's speech. So it looks like rates are going to go on up, and we could continue to see rates go higher for longer. The 10-year still sitting on top of its pattern. This could break up higher if it wants to, and even the 30-year is sitting right on top of support, where we could see a move to the upside in yields. Those upside movements did push the yield curve and invert it further. Surprisingly, it's still inverting, and it did take a lot of the steam and the tailwinds out of gold's movement today. So the yields and the way that they are moving does in fact impact how gold trades. So we have potential inversion of the yield curve further, and it did have an impact on some of the assets and the pricing of those assets. TLT basically flat today. We're in that support region, but we've been heading lower. Momentum still to the downside. And if you look at the 2-year, 10-year on the short term, we busted to the upside, and this looks like it wants to go higher. And that's why we have a falling wedge that generally breaks to the upside. So we had rising wedges that break downward, and then we created a falling wedge that's going to break upward. Crazy how this thing is inverted and the way that it looks. I think that perhaps the stimulus money threw some false signals and is fooling a lot of people. Higher for longer, guys. Uh, Gold was ready to rip there, but we threw in a wick as Powell came out with that news. I haven't even looked at the news, guys. I'm just telling you with the technical chart trading what he probably did. So we could go sideways longer with gold. It's still going to sit on top of this pattern here. It's going to give us a really good buying opportunity for some of these physical metals and for some of the underlying mining companies. Silver, again, we got a little wick at the top, still moving sideways, and platinum down a little bit today, taking some of this basically the momentum out of the market with gold and silver and platinum with that interest rates. XAU to gold, holding steady up 1%. So gold and silver mining companies holding steady against gold, slightly advancing, but still we need to break out of here if we were going to get a movement in this and get some outperformance of the gold and silver mining companies. The CRB index down a little bit, and we could head a little bit lower in the short term. This is highly correlated to oil, and oil was lower today. I do think we could get a pullback in the short term or a consolidation of some sort in the CRB index. And we'll see. Obviously, we'll see. That's my guess with how we've got the candlestick patterns that are trading right here. The CRB to S&P 500 still tracking higher. I know that the S&P and NASDAQ do not like the increase of yields. This still looks like it's good to advance where commodities will outperform the S&P. GDX up a little bit, right on support. GDXJ, same thing, same thing. We are pausing based off of those interest rates and a stronger dollar. Crude oil, it does look like to me that we could pull back here a little bit. And we've got our little wick at the top and the smaller candlesticks in terms of opening and closing prices that generally heads a little bit lower. And we'll see what kind of follow through in selling pressure that happens in crude to determine where this may go. We've got TTF gas up a little bit, but the momentum's coming back down to some degree. To me, this looks like it wants to turn and go higher, and that this is some sort of green army that has been basically forming here, where it's a basing pattern. Same thing's happening in Henry Hub, basing pattern here, and then eventually we'll work our way up. The momentum is getting worked off, and we'll work our way on up at some point. XOP, yeah, you know me, it is heading back down. It started with this bearish engulfing here. We had a bearish engulfing. I said, hey, look, we could pull back here. Maybe it'll hold on support. We'll have to wait and see. The support did not hold, and I think we're probably going to do another loop here. Is what's going to happen. We still have the inverted head and shoulders on a bigger picture view. We're just probably going to put a loop there, is my guess. OIH also down a little bit. We're coming up against resistance above us. This is a bearish engulfing, two of them in a row. This does look like we could head back lower in the short term. Profits Uranium Trust, it does look like we're losing some momentum here. You can see that the wicks and the opening and closing prices are consolidating here. So the opening and closing price, when they don't have a lot between them, means that there's buyers and sellers are starting to equal each other at a certain price, and that we could get a potential move lower. URA, it's got the same thing. This is an inverted bloody nose where we could head a little bit lower in the short term. This is your bearish engulfing there. We've got URNM up a little bit, but again, that could be a bloody nose. Bearish engulfing this day before it, so we could head a little bit lower in the short term. And URJ, same thing. TAN, TAN, I think we're still going to that $48, $49 level. We got a little bit lower to go. COPX, we are consolidating still inside of this little pattern that we've got going on. We'll see how that plays, and we're still in a larger channel moving sideways. Lithium down a little bit, still within the pattern, doesn't like the higher interest rates though. So this could do a full retest all the way back here if interest rates get high enough and kind of squeeze the entire market. REMX doesn't like it either. Doesn't like the higher interest rates. So Powell's still being Powell. He's still squeezing the markets, and some of these areas could continue to head lower with those rates going up. S&P 500 definitely looks like it wants to go lower. Some of these other sectors are going to follow what these guys do. Strong selling pressure, and this does look like we could head lower with interest rates going up, and the revaluation of these markets and assets with the interest rates going up means lower prices for NASDAQ and S&P. Emerging markets don't like it either. They could head a little bit lower in the short term with stronger dollar and stronger rates. XHB also could head lower, the home builders, because rates, these are all interest rate sensitive sectors. And with the increasing interest rates, you can see that there's been some selling pressure going on up here, and that this could easily head lower for XHB. Moo also heading a little bit lower. We could see a break to the downside. Let's watch it first. I'm not stating that's going to happen. Let's see what tomorrow brings for us. Copper right on support. Again, this could break to the downside. It is possible with the interest rates squeezing everything up. The pattern still looks good though, so I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying it could happen. Let's watch it. Iron ore still looking good. It's working its way higher. That's broken out from a falling wedge. We've got a long way to go to the upside. It's got a massive move here that could move up quite a bit because the size of the opening is generally the size of the move that happens after the opening. Nickel, again, I'm not touching this, not even with your guys' money. There's just no green army yet. Aluminum has broken to the upside. I would touch this. There's your breakout today. I think aluminum's going to start to work its way on higher, and that could be a very good opportunity. Very good opportunity. Baltic Dry Index ripping it. Like I said, I think this is going to go higher. Its opportunity to break lower failed here, so I think we're going up. We could go up dramatically. It's the big opening in the beginning of this opening here. So if I were to kind of just throw this there and then just grab it and throw it, that's where we're going. Somewhere up here, perhaps, is a possibility. Newcastle coal, it is basing here. I do think it looks really good in this general location. And I think there's some coal opportunities that I would get involved with that pay some pretty good dividend yields. Bitcoin and Ethereum's not going to like that interest rate increase. Again, we'll see how this works, but I think this trades more like the NASDAQ than it does anything else. And I think we could see further downside. So that's what I'm seeing in the markets, guys. We could see a pullback here in the short term, kind of across the board. It could impact uranium, it could impact oil and natural gas, and a lot of the companies that we watch. And with the increasing interest rates, I don't think precious metals is going to like it in the short term either. So that's what I'm seeing in the markets right now. And we could see a pullback in the markets. We're seeing the NASDAQ come down, S&P 500, Ethereum, Bitcoin. We could see a lot of stuff pull back here in the short term. Am I going to sell anything? No. No, 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 no. Big bull market, guys. You got to be bullish on the long term, in my opinion, in commodities. That's why that commodity S&P 500 is going to go up. I think commodities are still going to outperform. I think the overall stock market could really start to underperform here, and then we'll get another wave and move up after a small pullback or a slight consolidation, whatever it looks like, and we'll continue on up. So short term down, medium to long term up. That's what I'm thinking with commodities at least, and the overall markets. Overall markets look a little bit toppy there. All right, guys, that's what we've got for today. Thumb up for the content, subscribe to the channel, and again, just a reminder: 5 p.m. Sunday Mountain Standard Time. We've got that platinum question and answer session coming up. All right, guys, we'll catch you later. This is Finding Value.